Whoo! Hey everyone, JSD Cool here, and I knew that wasn't gonna kill me, yet I still half expected the totem to pop there. But anyway, hello there. Welcome back to another live stream here on Coolcraft Season 6. Now, it's been a couple weeks since I've done a live stream, especially from Minecraft. But in general, a couple weeks since a live stream, because, well, Thanksgiving was last week, so I was obviously visiting family, doing whatever. Not in a good position to do live streaming at all. Okay, I could have on Sunday, and I think originally I was planning, I don't know, I'll do something on Sunday. But then I just didn't, because I forgot about it and I was doing stuff. So anyhow, welcome back. We are once again paving the roads, but this time I have acquired tons of glowstone. Heck, there's stuff in the witch farm that I haven't even crafted down yet. That's how much I have. But yeah, so we should just be able to hopefully knock out a lot of these roads today. Starting over this way. No, but yeah, so things are, you know, interesting. But yeah, so didn't do live stream last week. No, the week before that, I don't remember why I didn't do the Sunday live stream. Yeah, but anyhow, oh, I also have some news on the whole issues with the getting copy claimed. Oh, I have downtown here. There we go. Oh, lag. Okay. I have some updates on the copy claiming situation. So, interestingly, my last stream did not get copy claimed. And I'm pretty sure I didn't have to file anything, any no, this is my shit thing for it. So, yay! Hopefully that worked. Or hopefully I don't get copy claimed for my intro again. That would be nice. It's always a hassle to deal with. It was really annoying when they rejected my this is my claims, but I'm pretty sure that was just whatever record label or whoever owns the license for whatever song YouTube was thinking that I was using. Overworked, underpaid employee was just like, deny. Because that's what an overworked, underpaid employee would absolutely do. But anyhow. And in terms of these live streams working on the pre-stream, I'm going to put that on the back burner for now, as I just can't be bothered to do anything else on that. I've kind of lost inspiration for that. So instead, if I do continue to do programming stuff in separate live streams, I'm probably going to work on my game, something that should actually be worked on and actually has a tangible benefit. And I did at one point plan to do live streams on it. I just never have for, I don't know why actually. Oh, another note of programming coming up is the semester is coming to an end here in a week or so. So I will soon live streams will soon become very infrequent, as I don't know how frequently I'm going to be able to do them from home. They're also less convenient at home for me to do. I will still try to do them, but Spectrum, in their infinite wisdom, provides at most 10 megabytes of upload speed. Sometimes it squeezes to 11, but it's usually like 10. At least that's what it officially is on the bill. I should grab some stone. Which is kind of a problem, because while the stream right now is only using about 6,000 kilobytes per second, which is good to be clear. This is fantastic quality that's currently being streamed to YouTube, and we're only using like 6,000 kilobytes per second, which is, again, that's great. That's probably enough. Get rid of that. So yeah, that's great. But mind you, that is the entire home network. I still have to deal with any potentially video chatting, voice calls if I'm playing with JRD Cool or Tyler or something like that. I have to deal with that. I'm also eating into the server itself's bandwidth, as that would have to share the external bandwidth. My connection would not be affected by the live streaming, as, well, my computer... Well, or because at least when I'm 2 feet away from the server, I use the local IP address to connect to it, which provides a nice boost of infinitely less ping, because it's 0 when I'm sitting like 2 feet away from it, compared to the 16 milliseconds of ping, or about 1 frame that I'm currently getting. But Jared Cool, for some reason, likes to use the external connection when he's in the same building as the server. Does not make sense to me, but that's what he does. So, and of course, if Tyler wanted to be on the server, he'd of course also have to do that bandwidth. So that's usually like an extra megabit worth of bandwidth being used, plus literally anyone else trying to use the internet in the house at the same time. It's better than it used to be, but still. It's not the most pleasant experience, but I will still try to. It's also the problem that I'm probably going to encounter interruptions when streaming from home, because my setup at home is not in the most private of spaces, to be fair. It's not like here where I have my own personal room. To be fair, I do have my own room there, but yeah, I'm not in my own personal room at home. Jared Cool is, but I'm not. When I'm at home, I'm in the basement, which you wouldn't think that would be a place to commonly have people, but my mom comes down to the basement surprisingly often. And also besides that, it is usually free of people. But besides that, the issue, what am I saying? This is live. The issue other than that is that you know, I'm kind of underneath. You know, we don't have like a proper ceiling in the basement. You know, it's just the floor. It's just the floor above and the beams that sits on. So you tend to hear people walking around upstairs. Which I have noticed sometimes in the past comes through into video through my microphone, which it obviously will hear. Heck, if occasionally hear when people are conversating out in the hall outside, you can kind of muffledly hear that, not really intelligibly, but you can still kind of hear that here, and so that's the thing. So live streams going forth after next week will not be regularly scheduled. It will just kind of be whenever. Because while I will technically have more free time, there's also just time I don't want to spend doing live stream. But hey, that's that. Although if I did live stream, there are some other stuff besides just Minecraft doing this or programming. Because I have games in the Steam library that I would think would be fun-ish to do on a live stream that I could definitely go through, because yeah, there's gonna be some variety in these streams. Would also be an excuse for me to go do other things, or go play other games on the internet without worrying about being absurdly boring. Now then, other stuff to talk about. Oh yeah, so Replay Mod still is not out for 1.20.2. 1.20.3 looks like it's going to be released within the next few days, potentially. And we still don't have Replay Mod for 20.2. Which is a little frustrating. I was seeing that on the, because today I was like kind of poking around the Replay Mod Discord server, being like, okay, what is going on here? And I saw a pinned message from someone saying that they're estimating it'll probably be out in the next couple weeks. Patreons get obviously a week or so early. So at least before the new year we should have Replay Mod out. But you know, that's kind of unfortunate, because I was actually right before the live stream recording a time lapse that would have been great to do with Replay Mod, and actually the way I at least try to. I don't know if this is actually going to make it into next week's video, but the way I was introing it would have been much better with Replay Mod. And, well, actually, with Replay Mod, I would have just been dubbing over a replay with my voice. But, yeah, that's a thing. Anyhow. I've suddenly run out of things that I wish to talk about. Which is great here. And, oh yeah. Oh, I guess I could talk about the weather, because we've had, so this past week was the first snowfall of the year. Whoa! Well, okay, that's technically wrong. First snowfall of the season. It's false. It's still fall, to be clear. It was definitely November there. Winter doesn't start for like 3 more weeks. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes. It's all melted already. It was not too shabby in terms of snow. There was actually a fair amount of snow on the ground, but it's all melted already. Because of course it has. The snow from this time of the year just does not stick around. Yeah, but anyhow, with that, I've been dealing with trying to keep the temperature in this room under control, because the only sort of temperature control that exists is a radiator, which, when it's on, it is on. It does not turn off. There is no thermometer, no thermostat, or anything in this room. The radiator just kind of runs, which means it's up to me to regulate the temperature, to regulate the heat in this room between the radiator, my computer, and the window. And also the humidity as well, because, I mean, I'm not doing too good of a job, but I'm kind of running low on the water supplies that I can use for humidity control right now. But I am trying to do that. And actually, yesterday I was playing Planet Coaster for a while, and it got nice and toasty in here. My graphics card, which is what was actually putting out all the heat, was at 90 degrees Celsius, and just pegged there. The software that I was using to look at all the temperatures of components in my computer had the motherboard at 64, I want to say, degrees, and it was red. The number was red. I've never seen that before. To be fair, the back of my computer is kind of pointing into a wall, so that didn't help. My CPU wasn't getting too hot, though, so it was definitely just a graphics card limitation. That was fun. Yeah, once I opened the window a bit more and closed Planet Coaster, the temperature started to drop pretty quickly. Yeah, it was quite hot in there. Silk is kind of hot in here, to be fair. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what I can talk about right now. Now, this is mind-numbing work here. Also, I think I'm doing better at multitasking with live streaming and actually being able to, you know, talk and actually do stuff in-game at the same time, because, that was the end of that one. Because I don't know if you people remember when we were doing the initial roads around the buildings here. Yeah, it took me, I did like a couple roads, only like 1 and a bit roads in the very first live stream, which was a tad bit bad in terms of actual work progress. But the last time we did the road stuff, we actually got all the glowstone and actually a decent amount of these roads done. Then again, we did have help towards the end from JD Cool and Super Tyler Man, which was nice. I hope they'll come back again today and, I don't know, do some help as well. But I don't know, with Tyler, it's kind of hit and miss. He apparently has, like, no motivation to do anything this season, which, that sucks, like, a lot, considering, I mean, it's probably similar to what the feelings that I guess I had in Season 3, where I kind of had stuff I wanted to do, I just didn't have anything to do them. But, mind you, in Season 3, when I was experiencing that, that was after I had gone and built up a gigantic storage system and some farms. Tyler's done, like, literally nothing this season. What is it about my server that makes people, you know, they hang around for like 1, 2, maybe like 1 or 2 seasons, right? They're like fully involved for like 1 or 2 seasons, and then they just kind of disappear. Or sometimes even just partially involved for a couple seasons, and then they just kind of slowly peter out, disappear. To be fair, at least Tyler still does talk to us regularly. The other people I'm referencing here, I haven't talked to them in a long time. Which isn't for lack of, which first wasn't for lack of really trying, they just kind of avoided me for a while. And then they said be right back, and then I haven't heard from them in like 6, 7, 9 months. Okay, I'm wearing headphones and I'm in another room, but I just heard Jared Cool's phone ringing. That's fun. I don't know why I could hear that. Ah, okay, well. There's something I haven't really thought about is how we're gonna fill up downtown with stuff here. Because I mean, the original idea was, well, we put a lot of like basic stub buildings in the downtown area, and then people demolish those and build shops. So we're probably gonna build a bunch of low rises around here. But people aren't really playing. Shops aren't really, as far as I can tell, gonna be that useful. I mean, like, this is the only shop that currently exists, and it's not even finished. Jared Cool has, for some reason, not finished it yet. Here, we'll go take a look at it instead of getting stone. Procrastination. See, look at all these sheep that he has yet to actually fill in. For the colors of wool that he has put into service, I mean, we need a shulker farm, which I guess is part of the reason why. I mean, look at this. Oh, well, I guess... What colors of wool has he put in? Yeller, which is this one. Look, it's just backed up with wool, no shulker boxes. Over here we have black wool, which is... I don't know how many shulker boxes of this we actually have right now. I remember I bought out all 3 shulker boxes that existed when we did the International Trade Tower. Oh, look at all the black wool that exists. Wow. How many shulker boxes did he allocate to just black wool? Jeez. You know, yeah, he needs a lot of shulker boxes, I guess. And, yeah, that's a thing. So let's see. Yeah, then besides the starter bases here, which Tyler definitely should have built his starter base here so we could repurpose his section there for something else. Yeah, besides the starter bases, downtown here is basically empty. Oh yeah, I guess I'll spoil this for the episode coming out on Sunday. That thing, the village is now fully enclosed. I decided to do that because why not, I guess. It took a lot more resources than I was anticipating, and probably a lot longer than I cared to mix just to get the resources. You know, placing them in was pretty quick and easy, but I need better infrastructure for this sort of stuff. And there's I cannot speak. There's a long chain of things that need to happen. They will happen in due time. I'm still building the infrastructure, man. It's going to be a situation where I'm still building infrastructure by the end of the season. Like, I'm not quite ready to start just hammering out various skyscrapers yet, which, I mean, I guess that's kind of what we're going to do downtown. I don't know how it's going to work in my area. Because realistically, I got to start planning that area out a little bit better than I currently had, just a road to the International Trade Tower and the bamboo farm next to it. Because there's some other stuff I got to do. Like, there's a highway, actually, that's going to go right through the center downtown here. And it's in line with the International Trade Tower and the bamboo farm. So I gotta make a turn before it gets there. I wasn't thinking of that, but now that I know about that, it's gonna be like, that's gonna be a pain in the ass to build on a diagonal. In the air. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that one out. In fact, actually, we can get started on the highway today if I finish off the roads here, because while there are roads and stuff over that way, I don't want to do excavation today. Because that would be a pain. Much rather get started on the highway system. Because the highway is, well, actually not that useful, but it's all for looks. That's the whole point of everything we're doing here, is for the looks. If you didn't know that, well, hi, welcome to Minecraft. That's kind of what we do here. In Season 1, I will admit, most of my stuff was not really for the looks. It was just for the novelty experience of playing late game survival Minecraft. Because before Season 1, I never really got into I'd never actually gone into late stage survival Minecraft. I'd always abandoned a world long before I was able to get anywhere near the late stage of the game. And like when we started Coolcraft Season 1, I thought that was also going to be the case for Coolcraft, not knowing that we'd be going on 6 seasons by now. With, well, at least the founders are still around. But yeah. Although I will admit, I did do I did do some cheating in season 1 for stuff because, like, yeah, remember, like, I don't know if I showed the stuff on video or not, but I remember it definitely happened. I would, well, okay, one of the things is fairly obvious. The perimeter that I made for the, Wither Skull farm in season 1, first time I ever made one of those as well. Mostly because I saw someone else on YouTube build. I was like, oh, I must build this. That's actually how I did a lot of stuff in season 1. Like, I, for some reason, saw a gold farm or something on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I must build it. Like, the whole week at school, I was thinking, like, gold farm, gold farm, gold farm, and then I built it. Which was kind of a pain, I remember. Jared Cool was supposed to help me, but actually didn't. That's something I've learned to just not rely on him for doing anything together in Minecraft, because he will just kind of not do anything. Even with the stone factory, I experienced that. Yeah, the skull farm was the same way there, but even in the video where I did that, the perimeter, I just used a command block thing to build the perimeter. I made a giant cylinder of buttons that was, you know, twice the radius that it actually needed to be in the end. But it did spawn-proof the entire area around it, so it did work. It just was definitely entirely cheating. Yeah, I also didn't have as much time to do stuff back then, so that is probably why. Another time I remember cheating in season 1 is I would teleport around to end cities to collect shulker shards. And that's actually how I had so much in season 1. Because I couldn't be bothered to actually properly go end busting and waste my time just flying through the end. So I would just teleport above them. So actually, the program that I used at the time for Minecraft world viewing was called Amidst. I don't know if it's updated for Minecraft anymore. I forget what update it was. I think it was like 1.18 when they just stopped updating. I know they had issues with Java 17 or even Java 16 at the time, and people had to make like patched versions because it was always using the wrong version of Java or some shit like that. But yeah, I would use that program because that program was for some reason really bad at determining the locations of end cities, which is kind of weird. Like, how do you not know? It's like possible end cities and likely end cities is like what they had there. So I would just go teleport around to them, and there was, you know, like a 50-50 shot that it actually was an end city. Or something like that. The program that I'm using now, which is called Cubiomes, C-U-B-I-O-M-E-S, is actually 100% accurate with its end city locationing. But yeah, I mean, I don't even really use it unless I'm going on foot most of the time. Now I'll just fly aimlessly in one direction into the void, and it'll just be like, hey, I found one. Because that's more efficient now. But yeah, I think, yeah, after season 1, I didn't really do much cheating in the server because I wanted it to be more of the, you know, authentic survival experience. Or some shit like that. I have definitely still, like, cheated death a lot. Or a bunch of times I definitely have cheated death in this. And also, some of the stuff I guess I do, you could consider cheating, like, just going into Spectator to look stuff up. Like, I don't consider that cheating so much that I made an entire mod that allows anyone to do that. Because actually, what it originally was is I got my second account in Season 1, so to just be a second account that I could use to spectate stuff, make time lapses, all that sort of cool stuff. And I have made a lot of use of that account. But it was also allowed me to just have an account that was permanently in spectator mode. I didn't need to put my main account in spectator mode, which was nice. But I was the only one who had an account that could do that on the server. So in Season 3, I remember, I think it was APRZN who was kind of complaining about it. It's like, hey, we should have something to do that. And so what I did is I made a data pack. It didn't work too well for its entire existence. But I made a data pack that would allow you to run a thing in chat that would transform you into spectator mode, store where your the coordinates you did at work. You were then fully in spectator mode. You could do whatever you want. But then you could run another thing. You could do another command, and it would try to teleport you back to where you were, the dimension that you were in, and put you into survival. It worked well enough in the overworld. It didn't work at all in the end for some reason, and I don't know why. And it had a lot of issues in the nether. So much so that it often, or there was a couple times when it just like spawned a million armor stands near like 0-0 in the nether. That was actually on a couple different seasons that it did that, so that was kind of annoying. I feel like the reason for that for a little while is for some reason, and I don't know why this was so inconsistent, it was like teleporting you to the end because I had some wrong code some of the functions that were running were a little bit incorrect. But even then, like in the nether, it would work when if the position that you originally were at was currently being loaded by your player in spectator mode, it would be able to properly send you back to that position. But if that position wasn't, and you were somewhere else in the nether, it would break and send you... Oh, I forget. Where did it send you? It either sent you to your it sent you to your respawn point when the end glitch was a thing, because it would like teleport you to the inside the exit portal in the end, which would put you back at your respawn location. That was not intentional, but an interesting way of doing that. If you're a data pack developer and you want to send a player back to their spawn point without killing them, teleport them inside the exit portal in the end. That'll send them right back to their spawn point, and also remove all potion effects and all that sort of fun junk. But yeah, then there was just the other issue where it would just like teleport the player to 0-0 in the nether for no good reason. And it was just the nether. The overworld, it worked completely fine. And I still have no clue why it was breaking. Everything looked fine. Everything was fine. I copied the code to be able to teleport you into unloaded chunks from a different data pack that we were running. And that data pack works just fine, so I had no idea what was going on. In the end, I turned it into a mod, because that would be easier and more reliable than fixing the data pack. Mind you, that does have to be updated per version of Minecraft, and also it saves a separate file in your world for the actual, is it in the world? I think it's in the world. It might be just next to the server file. I don't even know. But it saves a separate file, remembering the last locations of all players in case the server restarts while players in spectator mode. Oh, right, actually, no, I remember what the original point of this. So, our neighbor doesn't have a computer or a Minecraft account, for Java at least, but he wanted to play on the server, so we would give him my alt account. And actually, the original purpose of this data pack was so that we didn't mess with their progress. I could put my alt account into spectator mode and effectively remember where they last were. So if they ever came over to play again, we could just run the command. We could just run the command, and they would be sent back into survival mode, back where they previously were when they left last, which was basically a perfect way of making sure we didn't screw with any of their progress, but I could still use my alt account for its actual intended purpose. That then changed into the spectator stuff. But yeah, I ended up making it a mod, which was much easier, although I still screwed it up at first a little bit. Don't worry, it's completely working now, flawless. But yeah, the issue was that I didn't know that there was just on the player class, I didn't know that there was just or entity class, I think it is. I didn't know there was just a straight up teleport method, so I was just manually setting their coordinates, which for some reason didn't always work, probably because of parallel processes being like, no, I think it's here, I'm here, and so it would sometimes just not work. But there's a teleport method that works every time. So we just do that. And now it works completely fine. And it also allowed me to implement some more anti-cheat type features into it to prevent people from using it in situations where they shouldn't, like to cheat fall damage. Because that was actually an issue with the previous system, where you could, because I didn't have any way to check if you were on the ground, you could use it in midair right before you hit the ground and then go back and you would have no fall damage. I patched that out in the current version, in the actual mod, because there's a handy little method in the player class, or in the entity class, I think it's called like on ground or some shit like that. Which, what do you know? It tells you whether you're not on the ground. So, if you're not on the ground, actually I can do this. you're not on the ground. It will not let you. It will not let you activate if you're in survival mode and you're not touching the ground, which means that if you're in lava, or if you're like in the middle of a lava lake, you can't use it because you're not on the ground. If you're flying or falling, you can't use it, you're not on the ground. Interesting, if you're swimming on the surface of the ocean, that's probably a fine situation to use it, but you're not on the ground, sorry. But yeah. That's a nice little bit of anti-cheat I installed in it. I don't know if it's actually done anything. Although interestingly, if you are like in a lava lake or underwater and you are touching and you're actually standing on the ground of it, it would let you use it then. So I guess you can still use it to cheat drowning. You can't really entirely use it to cheat death by lava. Like you'd have to. I mean, you can use it to get off a fire. That's for sure. But you'd have to have another player come to your exact location when you went into spectator mode, fill in the lava lake, make a place for you to stand, and then you could pop out of it and be fine. But yeah. So that was the journey that. Oh yeah. And actually, I made the mod last season in Season 5 when I finally got fed up with that data pack and was like, okay, screw it, I'm going to make a mod. But yeah, so it was Season 3, all of Season 4, and then a chunk of Season 5 when that data pack was in use. Man, it was not good. But it did its job, I guess. Yes, Jaredy. Oh. Hold up. I have no idea why he felt the need to barge in, but okay. Alright, so let's see. Roads. Quite mind-numbing, nothing too interesting here. But it's also very interesting. You should keep watching and leave a like. And also subscribe, because those are the YouTube things. Apparently it doesn't really matter how many subscriptions apparently don't really matter anymore, but they're still like important. They still feel like important numbers, so important number should go up. So make important number go up and make me happy when number go up. As long as that number is not dislikes, because that's bad number. Bad number should stay down. Alright, let's see. Alright, so some other news that's been happening recently. Yeah, the lying dickwad that is George Santos got expelled from Congress today. It was a good start to the day. When I heard that, I was like, yeah, that loser. He's gonna like actually be. Well, I mean, it's about time, considering that everyone hated him. Literally everyone. Besides the people that needed him to stay in power. But besides that, everyone hated him. There was not a single person who really liked him, because he didn't stand for really anything. He lied about his entire life. And he was this really weird mix of the things that the Republicans hate, yet still somehow a Republican. Like, I don't know. Because, like, it ain't a big secret that Republicans absolutely dislike people who are gay and that stuff, and yeah, that's who apparently he was. Although he may have lied about that, because he lies about everything apparently. So just keep that in mind, I guess. Oh yeah, something else I could talk about is the speed at which the Wikipedia editors update information. So Okay, it's a couple weeks old now. But yeah, a couple weeks ago, I think. I don't know. Time is a weird concept. But a couple weeks ago, Mrs. Carter, the first lady during the Carter administration, you know, Jimmy Carter's wife, died. And, you know, I was like, okay, let me verify that Jimmy Carter himself is still alive, because Jerry Cole was a bit unsure. I went to Jimmy Carter's Wikipedia page, and it already had the fact that his wife had died on there. It's like, Wikipedia editors. Always on top of things. So yeah. But yeah, you know, there was health scare. There's health scares earlier this year that Jimmy Carter's like, oh, families gathering around Jimmy Carter, the end is near, all that sort of stuff. He's still alive, but now that his wife has died, he is probably not going to be too far behind. He's like 97. He was older than the Queen, so that's something to be in. Something to be said there. Also, these lines have been disconnected. So this is a now finite supply of wool here for the carpentry. Hopefully we don't need that much more of it. We will absolutely need that much more of it. Probably should do like these things. Really? Oh. Man. Okay, so these weird things here, those are like the entrance ramps for the highway. I did not realize where they actually were. Oh, I gotta put in the road over here. Okay. So that's great. We actually need to build that block over there in order to build all of the entrance and exit ramps for the highway that currently exists. Because, I mean, it's a pretty useless highway. You can't even get on or off it without falling off, without getting to the end of it. So, it also would only bring you like 1 or 2 blocks over. Not very useful. But yeah, that's thing. I have you can get out of my inventory. You. Yay. Okay. Let's see. No. Okay. Oh yeah, and I'd like to just make a reminder here that the stream on Friday happens until the WAN show happens. Oh yeah, also, I just remembered, the last time I did a live stream, we were doing stuff on Farming Sim, which was entirely Jared E. Cool's idea. And also, the reason why I was never able to harvest my field or anything like that is because Jared E. Cool had turned out of season growth off for some reason. So my field was in fact not growing. So that was a riveting stream, where I just screwed around in Farming Sim for like 2 hours. And then I don't know what we did after that. Oh god. Sorry I'm turning off the camera. I gotta like blow my nose and stuff. I figured it's probably not the best to actually show that on camera. Man, my nose has suddenly decided to act up, being like, you know what, screw you. Wow, Jared E. Cool is getting real fired up about something. Man, AV1 is really good at compressing a static image like this. Like, I'm only using for this entire frame here, I'm only using 2,000 kilobits for it. Now mind you, that's with the time changing in the corner. If that time wasn't changing, imagine how much less bandwidth I could be using. But anyway, more yellow carpet. Thinking. Alright. Camera's back. Woo! Alright, something else I could talk about here. That I guess I could talk about. So, there is this game, available on Steam, called Equilinox. It's made by this one guy, who I believe the YouTube channel's name is Thin Matrix. He seems like, a cool guy. So, anyhow, the game has been, quote, considered feature complete for a long time now. And I have apparently not played very much of it. Although I'm sure I've probably played more of it than Steam records, because it's not all that copy protected of the game. But don't pirate it, It's an indie developer. You could probably use the money, to be fair. I bought it a long time ago. But I have noticed that on Steam, a lot of people are like, come on, man, like, hey, this game's not feature complete. We want mod support and all that stuff. I mean, the developer's gone on to do other things. You can check out his YouTube channel. He made a whole series of videos making this game. So anyhow, I've noticed that the game is made in Java because I decided to look at the files, and the entire game is a single jar file, which is convenient because I happen to know how to do stuff in Java. And I've also made an entire mod loader for the game, which I haven't yet released because I guess I'm not finished with it and kind of got bored of working on it for a while. Maybe I should get back to actually doing so. Oh, my phone's battery is running low. Let's plug that in. Oh, you can hear it connecting there. Okay, and my phone falls. But yeah, so I have made, and I mean, I haven't done much with mods. I've done some stuff, but I have, by myself, with a tiny bit of help from ChatGPT, made a mod loader for this game, which can actually load mods and stuff, which is quite cool. Now, in theory, the sky's the limit with what you can do with these mods, because, it's Java and whatnot, but the biggest limitation, right? Well, you can theoretically do anything as long as you can figure out how to do it. Because obviously the game is not the most open thing for modding, because it wasn't designed to have mods put into it. And I've had to do some pretty hacky things to actually be able to get some modding to work. I mean, the easy part is just like Anyhow, as I was saying, the easy part of modding this game was just kind of like getting my own code to run alongside it, because this game was made with Java 8, which is a much easier version of Java to make program mod, or to make mods and stuff in, because, well, it's much, well, okay, the underlying reason is because it's much insanely easier to load arbitrary code into the Java virtual machine at runtime in Java 8. They did a bunch of stuff in Java 9, I think it was, that makes it like 1,000 times harder to do so. But we're in Java 8, so we don't have to deal with that. So getting my own code to run alongside the game in the same application was very easy. Just rename the jar file, have my own program, which is a jar file with the same name as the original jar file, that loads in and executes the code from the other jar file, which is pretty easy. The hard part comes when we actually want to start doing stuff with that. Actually want to start modifying stuff from that original stuff. So the way, I don't know why I'm talking about this now. I just want to talk about something. I think, okay, that's all for this. More stuff over this way. But yeah, so, okay, but yeah, so like the hard part is then actually doing stuff. So one of the things that you can kind of mess around with outside of the game itself that doesn't require too much technical knowledge is all the static functions, or not static functions, static variables. Oh, we can scoop that exist within the game. And there's a lot, surprisingly a lot. Actually, another thing is because this is in Java, it's pretty easy to, and it's not obfuscated at all, it's pretty easy to decompile and view what is close to the original source code. Which is convenient because, there are open source decompilers out there on the internet that are really useful for this, actually. So I, use one, which is just simply called Java Decompiler. Woo. The problem with a lot of this stuff, though, is it's not that it's, impossible to do stuff. There are various static things that you can change the value of, which is pretty useful. The hard part is ostensibly getting the, the thing is, a lot of the static variables are final, which is, I guess, good practice, if they're public, that is. Which is good practice, to be fair. In Java land, making your static stuff final is, good practice if you're going to make it public. But that makes my job a pain. Thankfully, you can actually quite easily get around the whole final and private aspects of variables with reflection. Which is, that was a bit of an adventure to figure that stuff out. But once I got that stuff done, I could modify things. But there were still some... there were still some issues. First of all, I could only really do things that involved directly modifying existing classes and variables, or directly modifying the values in existing classes and variables, not creating my own classes and variables to run alongside of it. The closest thing I could really do to that would be spin up a separate thread which runs in parallel and just continuously check the internals of the game and remodify stuff if it got into a state I didn't like, which, to be fair, is how I started doing stuff. But what I was eventually, I believe, able to do is I was able to find a class that gets initialized early enough within the startup sequence that I could, or that was static in a class, and that had some useful functions in it that I could overload. I'm doing a very bad job of explaining this. So basically what I did is I created an extension of a class that exists within the startup process, and the instance of the object itself for that class. Now it's done. But the instance for that class, the instance of that object, is stored in a static final variable somewhere else that is used frequently throughout the code. So what I can do is I forget when, but I can go into that static variable and change its value to my class, which I make and therefore can easily modify the code inside of, to that. So because it is just a subclass, it will generally defer every one of its functions to the original class, and even the things I do overload, they do eventually defer to the original class. But I'm also able to inject my own code into them, so that on, say, loading, I can get something to happen on the game's proper thread that even has its graphical context, because that was another thing. If you want to do anything that involves graphics with the screen, you have to initialize that stuff on a thread that has a graphical context, which my parallel threads do not have. So it gives me a thing where the game's main loop or whatever itself is executing this code, which is a thread that has a graphical context attached to it, which was important. Which then therefore allows you to do stuff on properly when the game initializes. And why did I come over here? I don't know. It's a process. I should continue working on it a little bit. Actually, upload it. Well, it is kind of on the internet. Put a proper release out. Probably make a bit of a tutorial on how to make a mod of this. It's a little bit of a process, because I don't know how to do stuff with Gradle to make it automatically make the mod or anything like that. So it's a very manual process to set up the development environment. And then once your development environment is set up, it's a manual process, kind of a manual process to actually export the thing. But hey, that's kind of the modding business, right? Now, I've also taken great lengths in this to not directly include or modify any of the original game's code in what is ultimately my distributed files. Man, I cannot speak today. Yeah, I've gone to great lengths to make sure I'm not including any of the game's original source code or directly modifying any of the game's original source code. Not distributing, modifying it, so that I cannot in no way be considered piracy. What the mod loader does, in effect, is it should hopefully be entirely respecting this, the intellectual property here, is it just runs on top of it. It doesn't actually modify the original code at all. It doesn't modify the state on your drive of it. It modifies everything at runtime. Kind of like how Minecraft mods work a little bit. Although I'm not entirely sure about how they actually work, because I think at least I think the way they work is that the Minecraft loaders like Fabric or Forge actually distribute their own jar files, which contain the entirety of the game within them, that also has their special mod loading sauce, added in there. I think because you don't need to actually have the version that you're modding also installed on your system in order to actually run the mod loader. We're not doing that, or I'm not specifically doing that. I'm making it so that the game is its own completely separate thing that gets actually loaded in exactly like one of the mods, apart from the fact that there's a lot less qualification and management of it. It just acquires a reference to the actual game's... Yeah, it just requires a reference to the game's main class and then just tells it go, and then it goes. That's all it does compared to mods. There's a bit more management involved with that. So yeah, I've gone to great lengths to do that. So the installation process is also going to be a tad bit complicated. You're going to have to rename a file and then add some more files. But it should, but in theory, it should actually be able to launch from the exact same executable though. So you'll be able to press the play button on Steam, and it will just load your modded version, which you can even use with Steam Remote Play, which is pretty cool. Okay, and as for limitations, basically what you can actually do is limited to what you can accomplish through reflection. Obviously, I've been able to using reflection actually, been able to jack in some of my own code to have the game execute it, which is, always fun. But without being able to use a bytecode editing library, which to be fair, I'm not against using third-party libraries. I use a JSON parser for specifically just loading the mods and nothing else. Which apparently the version I was using had some vulnerabilities from like potential denial of service attacks from a malformed JSON file. I don't care. If the game crashes on load because you installed a mod that doesn't work quite right, oh well. It's all running locally on the system, so it doesn't really matter. And it's also not really heavily using the JSON file. But anyhow, that's besides the point. I could absolutely see a bytecode editing library being useful. The problem is, I don't know how to use bytecode editing libraries. The only one I've ever successfully used is the Sponge-Powered's Mixin, which is used in Minecraft modding, hence why I've used it. But that's only on like the client using it end of things. Which I think there's also some sort of compilation side of stuff with that. I have no idea how to embed that library into my own stuff. I got a buzz from my phone. Oh, Jack's films, cool. Anyhow, yeah, if I could, these first two exist, dang it. If I could get a bytecode library working with the mod loader, that would just like turbocharge what you could actually do with the mods to be literally anything. And everything, actually. Everything and anything could be possible. It would make everything and anything possible. It could make the fact that you could just completely discard all the existing game code and turn it into Tetris, if you wanted to. It would also allow me to... Actually, so something I was trying to add support for as part of the modding API that I'm developing with this was custom language support, because evidently the game technically supports the ability to have multiple languages. Because even in settings, there is a drop-down menu to choose the language. However, there's only English as one language, and the developer is Swedish, I believe. Which is really weird why they only included English. So it was like, okay, we can just make it so mods can add their own languages in. Because from the all the backend code theoretically supports a custom language, although you would have to restart the game after you apply it, but that shouldn't be a problem for the user. The problem for the user... Oh wow, my mouth is quite dry. Anyhow, so the problem is just how hard-coded the fact that there was only one language is. Because while the system for the translatable text system, which is kind of unnecessary considering English is the only language, supports the ability for multiple languages to be in there. And I could definitely make a thing where when the game loads, it'll load in extra languages, extra translations of everything. The problem is making it so the game will actually use that. Because the, as I found out the hard way from trying to do stuff, the point where, because basically what you have to do is you would have to insert the newer languages, or the new language that you want to add into the game before it first starts initializing objects that actually use the translatable text. Unfortunately, the place I have my handle for when the game loads is after it starts to initialize text, which is bad. And there's nothing I can do before it starts to... There's nowhere I can inject without bytecode editing, mind you, before it starts to initialize text. Which causes a problem. I could always do it in parallel, but that's not a good solution, because while it could be done really fast and like actually work, if you're on a slower system or your system's a bit different, because mind you, this is in parallel, the thread scheduler could just be a jerk, and it could just not work, which is not a good experience, and I would prefer that not be the way things go. So I kind of just ditched the idea of adding multiple languages. Maybe if I get a bytecode editing library installed in the future and actually can make it work, I'll consider actually adding direct support for new languages, and so you can just have language mods installed. Because there is currently a way with the game where you can actually... Okay, I'm seeing some weird stuff. I feel like that was just a hair in my face. There is currently a way you can substitute in your own language to the game, but mind you, that completely overrides English. It's not a full solution, because basically you can just replace the game's language sheet, which is, I believe what it's called, with one that just contains their own translations. Besides that, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you can't add extras, because while technically there are 2 languages that currently actually exist on the sheet. Okay, but so the way the language sheet works from my investigations, it has 3 components to it. It has the ID, or it has 2 components. It has the ID of whatever in-game text it's supposed to replace, and there's like 1,000 different texts. That's the first one. That's the first thing. And then the second thing it has... I just drew a blank, sorry. Oh yeah, and then it has a list of all the translations of whatever text it's supposed to be. So by default, there are two languages that exist in the language sheet by default. The first one is English, you know, what it actually uses, and the second one is test. It literally just has test and then a number, which corresponds to each line, which I don't know what you could have possibly used that for, but there are technically 2 languages which you could theoretically get access to. However, there is something that's there is a problem with this whole setup, as I have seen, and that because there's only one language and it is hard-coded that is the only language that exists, you can't access the second one. Interestingly, the whole drop-down menu for selecting a language is built so that it can have multiple things in it. Like, there's an enumerator which is what actually feeds it. But the enumerator only has one value, which is English. I mean, I could always add more stuff to the list and then do my own, and then overload, because it is a registered listener type dealio for when you actually select something. So I could always override that with my own code to be able to edit stuff properly, or to be able to, you know, set the new language. The issue is that again, the one thing that actually prevented me from being able to do something, because I was able to basically overcome all the other problems, or at least I think I was. I never got to implement it because obviously. The issue ended up being I talked about it earlier, now I'm blanking. Oh yeah. That I couldn't load in or swap in my new language sheet or the additional objects in the language sheet until too late in the loading process. Because actually, one of the very first thing I did to test that the mod loader was kind of working is I used reflection to basically go through every class in the game, and anytime there was a string with display text in it, whether it got it from the language sheet or not, I just replaced it with pee pee poo poo, because funny. And it did work, but there's some text that I just couldn't replace for various reasons. I even went through the entire language sheet, or the in-memory version of it, so the translatable text stuff, and I actually kind of a problem, I guess, with how this game's language sheet works is that instead of just storing a reference and getting that information from the I guess the language sheet that's in memory all the time, it's all the various classes that use it just store a local instance of said text inside them, which completely makes it not the most useful thing in the world. But yeah, I couldn't load stuff. Text would have already been set. So I kind of just gave up on that idea. Yeah, the other thing that I've actually been able to successfully accomplish in this game through modding is something with the fast forward button. Because there's a fast forward function in this game, but it's kind of a pain. It's not that fast. And you also have to hold down click while your mouse is over the button. That is kind of annoying if you just want to fast forward for a while. You have to actually sit there and hold down click while your mouse is hovering over the button, or figure out a way to have your mouse button hold down and not bump it to move off of that button. So I added a solution. I added a second fast forward button right next to the first one. But this one, you click it and it stays in fast forward mode. But also, there's twice goodness. You click it again and it goes even faster. Along with that, because maximum convenience was the goal here, I also made it so if you press tab, you can cycle through the various fast forward modes. Now, unfortunately, if your mouse goes over and then off of the original fast forward button, it will reset you back to normal speed. Which is kind of poo-poo, but I'm not modifying that because that would be too much effort. But, you know, trade-offs. Could also potentially add a pause mode. Actually, the way I implemented the fast forward is a bit of a hack, because there are a few different defined game speeds that by default exist in the game. There's the normal speed, which is what you play at. Pause, which is actually just the super slow mode of the game. I don't know why he calls it pause in the code, but because within the game it's referred to as super slow, which is when you hold down spacebar. And then there's fast forward. Obviously, there's only one fast forward speed, so I had to just set the speed to fast forward, but then just manually modify the other variables to be even faster. That's basically all I've done. Successfully. I should start looking into how I might add a creature, just, you know, for like example purposes. If you want to add your own creature, which is just the shape of a cube, this is how you do it. Just gotta figure out, well, I gotta figure out how it's done in the first place, but hey. Alright. I've been live for 1 hour here. Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna turn this fan off. Hopefully I don't overheat now. Whew. I was talking about that for a while, and I haven't even released that yet. But yeah, if you want to, I guess, check out some of the source files for the mod loader itself, it's on my GitHub. I haven't uploaded any of my example mods to GitHub yet, which is weird, because I really meant to do that. And I should, because, you know, it will eventually be there for people to download. And I don't know how the community for that game will actually react to a third-party mod loader. Like, oh, this is a virus. Meh. Technically, yes, it could be used for Trojans and ways for them to backdoor your system, so just don't install mods from untrusted sources. As I mean, that just kind of comes, or that's an inherent risk with mod, or when using third-party modded options. Well, even official mod support can come with the risk of Trojans sneaking in when you install a mod. It's just slightly more prevalent in a situation where it's just it's just Java code that will just get run without hesitation. Or limitation, really. But to be fair, that is an issue that exists with Minecraft mods. And it also... Oh yeah, so that is an issue with Minecraft mods as well. And there have been several instances over the years of people spreading malware as a Minecraft mod. Maybe the Minecraft mod actually works, but it also contains malware which is stealing your data, putting crypto miners on your computer, yada 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 in the background. One of the more recent ones that I've heard about was Fracturizer, which is a great name for a virus that was effectively a botnet, I think. Or at least it had a command and control server, which, to be fair... actually, no. I believe that stole people's passwords. And then also ran some other malware. So it had a command and control server, so it could just do whatever. It was effectively just a backdoor into people's systems. What am I doing? What am I doing? So, all of these roads here... Oh, and my dad... The dad's texting me about the Christmas list. Do you guys ever have the issue where you can't think of anything else to put on your list? Because I have absolutely no clue what to put on my Christmas list. I don't really need much. I don't really need or want much stuff, to be fair, because, like... I mean, I don't do too much here. And I literally have no idea what else I would want, besides what I've already put on the list. So... Did this actually come through RCS? Because my RCS chat on my phone was broken for some reason. Gift cards, okay. Did I not put those on the list already? Well, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm live streaming. I have a stream to entertain. Yes, this is where I was going right here. Boop, 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 boo. Ba-da-ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. I mean, this entire place needs to be stone eventually. But, yeah. This here is one of those entrance ramps, I want to say. I'm not sure which direction this will go. Yeah, I think this is an entrance ramp to the highway. Alright, speaking of which, we can get working on that now. Because, actually, wait, no, I haven't finished. I need to do all the sidewalks. That one little thing that, you know, is just kind of important there. Never done with these roads. Never, ever, ever done. Alright. Alright, so, bitrate of the stream, you know, sometimes it pops up to 8 kilobits. Or 8 megabits per second, but, it's usually pretty steady. Oh, and the frame just dropped. Look at that. OBS doesn't register that as a frame dropped, but I saw it. I don't know why OBS does that sometimes. I didn't know it. Maybe it's my graphics card saying screw you to me for no apparent reason. I mean, yes, it is made by Intel, but like, look at how well it's working. I'm able to do this live stream in glorious 1080p with pretty good results, actually. Oh. Hang on. My phone... hopefully I'm still live here. My phone just... Okay. Whew. Stream dropped there for a second. Oh, I'm also like 30 seconds behind. Hold up. Alright. Whew. That was almost that was almost something interesting there. Yeah, so sorry if there's a stream drop recently. That's not my fault. At least according to OBS, it's not. So, what other stuff have I been doing recently that could be worthy topic for a YouTube live stream? So, I've made, decided to try at least to make some contributions to the processing, which is the main thing I use for programming graphical stuff. In particular, the only one I've currently pull request, but I have done another one which I really should pull request because it works, and other eyes on it would probably be a good idea. It was image interpolation time. So the thing with how processing image stuff works is that it can, it can load, it can resize images for you, all that sort of stuff. You can modify the contents of the images. It's great. There's just one small problem. You can't tell it how to resize the image. You can tell it what to resize the image to, but you can't tell it what method it should use to resize it, which is incredibly weird considering processing doesn't actually handle the image resize themselves. They delegate that to a library. To be fair, I think that library is included in the Java API, but they still delegate that to a library, which has options for multiple types of image interpolation in it. Which is really weird considering... Oh, well, and they also just like hard-coded, at least in processing it, to always use the bilinear image interpolation, which is okay if you have a higher resolution image of someone's face you want to upscale, and you don't want it to look absurdly blocky. That's great. But where the system really falls apart is if you have a lower resolution image that you want to try upscaling. Say something that has some sort of pixelated textures that aren't very large, that you want to be able to have actually visible on your screen. Like Minecraft textures, if you for some reason wanted to use those. Well, as it currently stands in the release version of processing, you're kind of out of luck there because there's no way to change what method it uses. But that's where I came in. I went through and added a way for you to choose the method in which it will upscale your image. But there are 3 options that are supported by this library from what I can find, which would be nearest neighbor, which is basically no interpolation, just straight up make it bigger, all its pixelated glory, which really helps with Minecraft textures. There's bilinear, which is what it was using, and bicubic. I don't necessarily know precisely what the difference between linear and cubic is, besides, I guess, the shapes of the functions that they make on the graph, and that somehow translates to the way in which they choose what the nearby pixel should be. Whatever one you think is better, you can choose it in my version, because that's just the type of thing that I think is great. You can also just not choose and keep using it as is, and it will work exactly as it did before, because I made sure of that. Yeah, at least that the override did. Yes, this comes with me adding a couple other constants to it, which, they're just there so that you don't... Well, they're there for the purpose of, like, all the processing constants, like, oh, I'm out of slabs. Oh, I got more slabs. Like, center and left. It has values similar to that, except the values are just 0, 1, 2. I also have to figure out how to add these things to the, keyword get highlighted list so that processing would, or so that the environment would highlight them a special color. Because that's always nice. It is kind of annoying when I use built-in functions and stuff to processing, or built-in variables and stuff that just don't get highlighted in special colors. Because it's like, wait, is that an actual thing? It's not giving me an error, but is that even what I want to use? Yes, it is. But alright, let's see. Okay, but yeah, there's a pull request for that, so check that out on Processing's GitHub if you want to check out how good of a job or how bad of a job I did in image resizing. The other thing that I'm working on is something that has been a little bit of an annoyance for me. It's been able to be worked around, but still a pain in the ass to actually do the workaround, which is the icon or the application icon. So I don't mean like when it's running what appears on the taskbar, because that's completely different. You can already set that properly within the runtime of processing. I'm talking about what the image that appears on the actual thing that you run, so the actual exe file or application file on macOS looks like. Because as it currently sets, when you export it, it's just the processing icon, or the processing play button. And that's it. You don't have any way to choose what that's going to be. The currently only way that you can actually change what that is in processing is go into the actual processing source files itself and replace the template or the file that it copies in with your own file, which works fine if you're only ever going to be exporting one program that looks like one thing, but doesn't work too well if you want to be able to have separate images for separate projects and don't want to have everything have the same icon. Of course, in Linux, this isn't a problem, as it just gives you like a script to run, because Linux sucks when it comes to graphical shit, like actually giving your application an icon. I think it might technically be possible, but they're just like shell scripts, so. So what I did is I went through and I made it so that it would, there was a way to configure it so that you could just specify your own file and it would use that file and export, and it did work as well. I mean, basically what you gotta do is you gotta have the sketch.properties file, which specifically in Processing's Java mode is not entirely guaranteed. This is, well, entirely because it wasn't necessary at first. Currently, the only thing that I know that you can use sketch.properties for in the Java mode is specifying the main file to be different from whatever the name of the folder that you're in is. Besides that, it doesn't do anything. Or besides that, as far as I know, currently in Java Edition, sketch.properties doesn't do anything. Until now, because I added the ability for you to, in that file, specify the icon. Now, if you're only ever going to be exporting for one operating system, you could just put, like, icon equals in there. But if you're exporting for Windows Mac, you can be icon.windows equals or icon.macOS equals. I'm going to get some water now, because I am kind of dry in the mouth. And I will be back in a minute. Man, I can tell that we're starting to reach the end of the semester here, because my hair is starting to get a little bit annoyingly long. Like, yeah. So, yeah, that's fun. Been a while since I got a haircut last. Anyhow, welcome back. But yeah, so it was an interesting process to get the icon. I mean, the biggest challenge was figuring out where do I have to be to get the icon inserted. Turns out it was not actually that big a deal. For Windows, well, actually, it is different on Windows and macOS, and actually done in a different place. So on Windows, it's pretty simple. The way it works is that you pass in a Java file object into whatever is actually building the executable file for you, because I don't even know what's doing that, but you just pass in a file object to the icon, and then it'll then build the executable for you with that icon. So that was pretty simple. I just gotta read out of the sketch.dot properties, find where the icon is, or find the specified path of the icon. It'll figure it out. It'll do it, probably. macOS was a little bit more interesting because the way it actually works in macOS for setting the icon is, well, an application in macOS is a folder that has things inside of it, which is curious. So what you have to do for the icon is just an item inside of that folder. So what you end up doing is you just end up copying the icon file into the application folder. And so literally what it does is it just does a file copy from the original icon file to the new place, which, as it turns out, you can just, if you have the icon, if you have, you know, a file path, you can just substitute that in for whatever file was being copied in the first place, and it works. So editing the icon of macOS doesn't seem like it was too hard. I mean, the harder part is actually making the icon, because macOS's icon file type is not well supported. I mean, if you have Photoshop, that can do it, because of course Photoshop can do like everything. But if you don't want to be a slave to Adobe and pay $1 bajillion a year to access some terrible products, well, you don't have many options besides free online file converters, which maybe they work, maybe they don't, maybe they're just malware. Who knows? Yeah, that's kind of annoying that because obviously the image editing program I use is GIMP, or GNU Image Manipulation Program, which is, you know, it's pretty good. It can handle most file types for images. It can even handle the Windows icon format, but it can't handle Apple's, because so that's fun. But yeah, so hopefully the next release of my game that happens on macOS will have a proper icon instead of just the processing icon. Oh yeah, there's also the fun part about macOS where it's like, oh, this isn't signed. You're not running this. Which, as far as I can tell, you can. Well, it's also, you know, compiled for Intel Mac, because that's the only Mac I have. Between you and me, I don't have a Mac. I have a virtual machine running an Intel Mac. But yeah, so that's a problem. So you don't get your, I mean, it'll use Rosetta 2, I guess, which apparently has good enough performance. So it'll be like, okay, well, that'll just run. But you'll have to, I believe, to run it the first time, you have to, instead of just, you know, doing your normal double-click thing, you'll have to first enable right-click on your Apple shitty mouse, which is, for some reason, not enabled by default, despite the fact that it has two separate mouses. Anyhow, you have to enable right-click. Then once right-click is enabled, you can right-click on the application and then click Open Application, which will actually pop up a separate dialog being like, instead of being like, this isn't signed, you can't run it, will be, are you sure you want to run this? And then you can run it. Or something like that. Or there's like a terminal command you can run. Good luck navigating to the folder, because I have no idea what folder shit's in on macOS. It's so hard. Exploring the file system on a Mac is pain. Actually pain. It's like, well, what folder is my stuff in? I don't know. Open that folder for me and find it. Okay, here's the folder. Okay, where's the path of the folder? I don't know. Can I go to the root parent folder? No, you can't. It's like, how am I supposed to find where anything is on this system? Oh my gosh. Like, obviously I can open the terminal and it's basically bash. It's ZSH, but that's basically bash. And I can use that to go around. I can print the working directory, but there's no way to just open the terminal to this specific folder. Even Windows has that now, which is weird. Windows in you know, in 2023 or 2, or when the heck Microsoft added the open in terminal button in Windows 11 to the context menu. Even then, they didn't do anything. Well. Even then, what was I saying? Oh yeah, on Linux it makes sense to have the button. As you do too many things in the terminal on Linux. On Windows, the only time you really use a terminal on Windows is if you're trying to fix some weird operating system bug, or you're a developer, or trying to run some sort of software for modding a game. Anyhow, command line isn't something that you normally use on Windows, and it's, I guess, used even less on a Mac. Again, unless you're a developer. But for some reason, Microsoft just said, you know, open in terminal is a thing you can do by default in Windows 11, because it's never too late, I guess. To be fair, I have found that feature very useful when developing stuff, or when doing stuff on Windows 11 that requires a terminal. Or if I just want to access the terminal, it's a very easy way to do it, instead of having to go down to the Windows button to go open command prompt or PowerShell or anything. So I'm not mad that it exists. It's just kind of weird that you chose Windows 11 to be the time that you added that, Microsoft. Yeah. Oh yeah, macOS has nothing like that. Mind you, I am using an older version of macOS, but it doesn't matter. They still haven't added anything like that. Well, I'm running an older version because, one, I was able to get my hands on this version of macOS, and it works. And two, I'm afraid that any newer versions won't work in my virtual machine. Because that's, let's be real, quite likely. The virtual machine I have is strictly for software development purposes because I have no other reason to use a Mac other than to compile or export software to or test software specifically for a Mac. I do kind of find it dumb that you can't export for a Mac on processing if you're not on a Mac. Like, Linux and Windows, you can interchange them. Obviously, you can only embed Java for the version of, or for the operating system that you're on, as you only currently have access to that version of the JVM. But come on, macOS is its own screwy walled garden that's very expensive and dumb. Like, cool, it looks pretty, but it's so non-functional. Actually, is something I've actually, you know, learned about macOS recently is that they don't have like a full-on equivalent to task manager. I mean, they have their system resource utilization stuff. But they have a separate thing that allows you to just kill processes, and there's this obscure key combination you press to get it, which is terrible. It's also very unclear how you access network drives in macOS. I was shown how to do it, and then I immediately forgot. It does support SMB out of the box, though, so... Actually, I'm going to put all the gloves in here. Which is quite useful, so I have a much easier way to move files between my macOS virtual machine and host machine now, is that I can just use network file share, because that's actually much more efficient than screwing around with other ways of doing it. Well, I mean, okay, so for the virtual machines I have for Linux and also Windows, if I for some reason need that, it's generally easier to copy files around because at least those are running in VirtualBox, and in VirtualBox you have a file manager. It probably wouldn't work on macOS anyway. Yeah, you have the file manager, which allows you to copy files between the host and the sub-machine, which is very useful, but you don't get that on macOS, so I have to... I'm using also a different virtual machine provider for that as well, but anyhow. Yeah, you just kind of need to learn to deal with the Mac stuff, but I was able to network transfer stuff, so that's good. Actually, one of the reasons I kind of wanted to know how you access network drives on Mac is because, actually, well, at my high school, which obviously that ship's long sailed, well, still during the pandemic, but like, they had, you know, Macs in like the generally accessible computer lab, and at least, actually, I think they still have this at the school, despite the fact it's useless now, because it's all Chromebooks, and you just can't on Chromebooks access network drives, but they had network drive. Well, they had two network drives that you could access on your device. They had the Z drive, which was your personal storage on the network. coincidentally, your desktop was also on the Z drive, so that was like, okay. But yeah, the Z drive is where all your personal files were, and they wiped that at some point between middle school and high school or something, or the school sets everyone. Then you have the Y drive, which was the student shared folder, something that all students had. There is actually also apparently a staff shared folder, but no one uses the student shared folder anymore because you need a Windows machine to access it. I think you could technically access it on macOS if you knew how to connect to it, but I didn't. And considering that there was very little actually people that it used to be used a lot. Like there was a lot of different folders for different teachers, and people would actually set up and manage permissions there. Like the last time I ever actually used it was actually the first computer science class I took, because that's where the teacher had us upload our assignments to. There's a folder that we could write to but not read from in there that we just drop our assignments. It was interesting. But yeah, no one uses that anymore because there are no Windows. Actually, that's not true. There are almost no Windows computers accessible to students there now. There are technically though. Those computers are just in the tech wing, and the tech teachers don't use the shared folder anymore. Actually, I think the guy I had for my first tech class did, but he retired, so no one uses the tech folders. Yeah, the shared folders anymore. But they're still there. They're still running. You can still view all the things from all the teachers on there. They got their names and stuff, which is like, whoa. This is ancient shit. I actually have no clue. Why it's still there, actually. If you could access it from a Chromebook through like Google Drive or something like that, or just, somehow put it in Google Drive so that you could access it anywhere, then I think it would be a useful resource potentially to have. Because actually, currently, the only people who actually have access to it is obviously anyone who's running who's on one of the virtual machines in the tech wing. Oh yeah. I'm just suddenly confused about what I'm doing here. Because, oh yeah, this is a small road. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And also the math teachers, because for some reason the math teachers at my high school were the only, besides I guess the tech teachers, were the only teachers who had Chromebooks, Windows computers. Everyone else was a Mac. Like literally all the other teachers were Macs. I don't know. I think the office staff may have had Windows, but those were desktops. And maybe at the IT help desk they had Windows computers, but besides that it was all Mac for the teachers and all Chromebook for the students by the time I left. Just weird. Actually, so when I was in middle school, at some point, and I don't remember when, they kind of switched from being like, yeah, everything's a Mac here, to everything's a Chromebook here, but the teachers still have Macs because they actually need to do stuff, unlike students. And they actually have to have like files and stuff and non-internet connected garbage. But yeah. They started to switch from Macs to, They started to switch away from everyone having everything being Macs towards Chromebooks. It started with laptops, because, well, at first, the school had one, maybe two laptop carts full of Macs. But then they started to get more laptop carts that had Chromebooks in them. And eventually, when I was in 8th grade, they got rid of the Mac Chromebook cart. But the computer lab was still full of Macs. They were Mac Minis, I believe, actually. With non-Apple monitors. They were just like Dell or HP monitors, I think. But it was interesting. They had, like, control software on there, so, like, the lab attendant could see what everyone was doing and could lock all the screens out, like, eyes to the front of the classroom. Big ol' lock appears on the screen. As far as I know, that's gone now. After COVID, they replaced everything with a Chromebook. Actually, I remember they used to have like a bunch of Windows 7 computers in the library. This was like before I was in middle school. Or maybe when I was in 6th grade they still had them. But they replaced those with a couple stationary Chrome docks. They weren't laptops, so they weren't Chromebooks, but they did run Chrome OS. And they were kind of in a smaller form factor than a Mac Mini, if you can believe that. So that stunk. There was also apparently a couple printers in the library people had access to, but no one ever used them because you don't have free time to go to the library anyway, and there's no real computers or reasons to do that. You need to print to the computer lab or some stuff like that. I don't know. It was fun. And once COVID hit, IT decided, well, we're no longer dealing with anything for the students but Chromebooks. They're so much easier to manage, man. Actually, because I remember when I was in 8th grade, the technology teacher would go on in class about how, oh, next year we're getting these brilliant new computers that we picked out. They're going to be like running Linux or something like that. Or Windows 10, maybe. I don't remember. It's going to be so much better and faster than these old pieces of junk Windows 7 laptops. They weren't they were junk, but they weren't entirely junk, as they were, well, they had to be able to run CAD. So they did have a fair amount of beef to them. They were thick laptops. Somehow their batteries weren't terrible, despite being plugged in overnight every night for like 7 years or some shit like that. But he was going on about, oh, they're going to be nice, they're going to be up. I found out like a couple years later that no, they didn't ever get new computers. They just put Chrome OS on those computers, and now they use virtual machines. That guy retired. He was also incredibly old. It didn't seem it, but he was incredibly old, surprisingly. Like, he was at the school so long that when he started teaching, they had Apple IIs. Like, actually. I ended up coming into contact with an Apple II that he and some team of some sort had won in a competition when the Apple II was actually, like, in the 80s. When the Apple II was being actually, like, sold as a computer. They won an Apple II. For some reason, it was... After the guy retired, it was in the one of the tech rooms at the high school for a while, and then I don't know what they did with it. But that's how long that guy was teaching. It's like, oh my gosh. You know, it was like, probably like 2020. He probably retired during the pandemic, I think. That's probably what did it for him. He was old. He was teaching since they had Apple IIs at the school. Because I remember at one point he told us about how they used to have like MacBooks of some sort, like a while before they had the Windows machines. They used to have MacBooks that were somehow capable of running their CAD software. Mind you, this was probably back before 2010, I'd say. So, because he was telling us this story about how once somehow someone got like, well, had the computer open in their hands, they were walking, they tripped, and they somehow, like, you know, the thing went into a table and, like, sheared the screen off or some shit like that. It's like, wow. Like, they used to have MacBooks in here? What was those? That was some fun stuff. Oh, yeah. Actually, ooh. I don't know actually when they got this, because I remember they used to run Inventor 2013. On those things. When we got to high school, it was like 2018. We went from 2013 last year to 2018 this year. Big old change. And it used to take forever for the thing to load. The performance of them wasn't actually terrible, but it used to take forever for Inventor to load on those things. I also don't know why specifically we used Inventor instead of like AutoCAD or something that wasn't like, that was something a bit more multi-purpose than Inventor, but I don't know. I guess that's just what they had licenses for. I mean, I've looked up, I think, how much Inventor actually costs if you wanted to just like buy a license to fuck around with. The answer is thousands of dollars per year. I mean, it makes sense when you realize, oh, this is supposed to be used by engineering firms, but like... Actually, I think my school now actually gives students free access to all the Inventor products. Autodesk products. Gah. So I could check out their editing software, because Autodesk has like a much better version of Premiere Pro. Apparently, you know, you think like, oh, Adobe, that's who's used by professionals. No. Adobe's not used by professionals. Autodesk, they are used by professionals. And oh boy. Oh boy, do they professional. And their stuff is stupid expensive. Go figure. So yeah, if you're wondering what they used to edit that blockbuster movie you're watching, it was probably whatever Autodesk's video editing software is, because professional grade or something like that. Wow, okay. It is 9 p.m. and no sign of the land show yet. Damn. I'm gonna go just quickly check the Twitch, see if I just missed the notification. That would be embarrassing. Nope, not live right now. Cool. So they are late today. It turns out that I, myself doing these live streams, had apparently no effect on the time that Linus starts the WAN show. How is, I don't know how that's possible, but like, apparently just didn't have any effect. It was a complete coincidence that they were going live early when I started doing these Friday live streams. Complete coincidence. Can you believe that? Anyhow. Yep, okay. We are making some great progress here. It's been way too long and these roads needed to get done. We're still making some great progress here. I wish other people had joined me. Apparently JRD Cool was actually working on the creative server. But yeah. Alright, then we go back this way. Wait, I've also actually put some effort into the next version of my game that's going to get released, which isn't the next major version. It is a patch, but it's shaping up to be a big patch with a changelog that's starting to rival some of the changelogs of major versions of the past, which is crazy because I wouldn't think I would be doing all that much, but I mean, I did just kind of make a massive change to the sound system of the game. So, you know, I guess that makes sense. Checks out. Although, you know, the biggest thing that I'm kind of waiting for in these updates is Tyler to do more sound work. Because he said he was going to do stuff, but then just hasn't. Don't know what he's up to. Well, okay. Actually, if I had to guess what he's doing these days, he's doing stuff related to musical production, as it's that season once again, where he plays on the server even less than he already has. Though it is a Friday, so I don't know if they... Well, no, still, it's like 9 p.m. on a Friday. He should be around. I mean, I'm not in a Discord call or anything right now, so it's not like he actually... He's not watching the stream right now either. So, not in the Discord call, so it's not like he could actually just pop in and talk to me at any point. But he could still be on the server or saying stuff in chat, because we do have that chat linked to Discord without any use of, or without any need for someone to be on the server. Because that's a cool thing that we do. Well, I did. I've talked about this before in live streams, where yeah, I made a mod that does stuff on that links Minecraft and Discord chat. I cannot at all be bothered to talk about that again. Wait, here's something interesting. So, I mean, oh yeah, so I have an app on my phone, which is a terminal emulator, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a terminal. But, you know, it's Android, so it's an Android terminal, which is just Linux. So any Linux command you can do, anything you can do on Linux, you can effectively do on your phone as long as it's compiled correctly for Android. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of different programs that that this terminal app comes with. One of them is, in fact, C and C++ compilers, which is quite useful. And so what I was trying to do recently is I was actually trying to take a project that I made for one of my computer science classes that uses an interesting library, or header library, I think it's called Rogue Utils. You probably won't find it, but you might from a Google search, actually. I don't know how my professor found this library, but anyhow, this library does some fancy stuff. Or it does some fancy stuff with the terminal. Like, it has, well, basically just shortcuts a lot of stuff for, like, changing the color of text in the terminal and moving the cursor around. Stuff you can do with, like, normal outputs, regardless of special library status. But this thing actually goes a bit further. It actually, it has some other fun stuff. Like, it can just detect key presses in the terminal, which is kind of cool. I don't know of any way I don't know how you do that. You use like weird OS operating system DLLs. You can also like just get single characters that will press. It can set the specific character of the cursor to something. Pretty cool stuff. Anyhow, what was I doing? What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I tried to compile this thing on my phone. It compiled just fine. No warnings, no errors, no nothing. It was like, yep, cool. You compiled into a binary, an executable, you know? And then I go to run it and it says, permission denied. Permission denied? What permission are you asking for? All this thing does is it does some fancy display stuff on the terminal screen. What is permission denied for? So it's like, oh, okay. Okay, so it clearly doesn't like me doing stuff here. Let me try running this as root, because I can do that on my phone. So I go into root mode, and I try to run the thing. And it says permission denied still. So I'm like, okay, maybe I don't have permission to execute this file, because, you know, that's a thing on Linux where you can remove the execute, or by default stuff doesn't like have permissions to execute. So I do, okay, do the thing and tell it everything can read, write, execute this file. Okay, try again. Permission is still denied. So I don't know what's going on there, but Android seems to be denying my permission to run this program. Hang on, is this actually short? Hold on. Oh gosh, it actually is. That's an oversight. Ow. I hit the buttons too quickly. My finger hurts now. So that's always fun. You know, the best part about being able to go root user on your phone is to cheat at shitty mobile games. If it's an offline game that just has a shit ton of ads in it for some reason, you can let me just make sure. Yep, okay, good. Yeah, you can just go into the game files where it stores configurations and say, I don't have 0 money, I have 10 billion money. I don't have nothing, I have everything. And you know, that's always fun, because usually, despite the fact that these games are entirely local and single player, they have microtransactions in them where you can pay for extra cash. This is an online game, and if you deleted the app, re-downloaded it, or just got a new device and downloaded the app, you wouldn't have any of the progress or anything you purchased on that device. But you would have. But that's why it's okay to cheat, right? That's why it's okay to go in and modify the game files. Because why would they just keep them in the shared Why would they use shared preferences to store this stuff if they didn't want randos with root access to the device to just go in and change all the values on them? Like, come on, don't make it that easy if you don't want people to go and just bypass your microtransactions. You gotta put up more resistance on that. You gotta store it in your own custom binary format in your own files and not the shared prefs folder. That's for sure. Which apparently shared preferences are deprecated, but everyone still uses them anyway. It's kind of like how in Minecraft modding the voxel, or at least according to Fabric, the voxel shape. The voxel shape is a class. The get voxel shape method on a block is, the on use method for a blog is technically deprecated, but literally everyone, including Mojang themselves, still use it. Why is it deprecated? Because, you know, when something like that says, oh, it's deprecated, I'm like, okay, there must be another way to do stuff with this then. So I'll go look at how the Minecraft blocks, you know, the ones in the game, how do they do this exact time? Oh, wait, they use this thing that's apparently deprecated? Well, that doesn't seem very deprecated then, does it? Why do I also sometimes am doing Minecraft modding and stuff, I'm like, why am I reinventing the wheel? This function already exists or something else in the game already does this exact same thing, just slightly differently from how I want it to done. I'm just gonna go steal it from that because they already did the work and it's working for them, so clearly that must be a good method to do it. Usually it is, actually. Like the whole I was talking earlier about that spectator mod with the teleportation. I was like, wait, how does the teleport command do it? Because that works. Oh, it just uses the player.teleport method. Ah, okay. Okay, it is starting to be, starting to wonder a little bit. When is the When show gonna start? It is getting late. I've been here for almost 2 freaking hours. I did start a little bit later than I anticipated. Oh well. Do you like these eerie bits of silence with no background audio? Because copyright or whatever. Yeah, it's mostly. I don't have any music that I really feel like I could use too much as background music in live streams. And even if I did. Even if I did have that music, it's probably going to need some sort of fancy licensing stuff or crediting in the description. That's a pain. So we'll just not, for now at least. Actually, there's this song that my friend made that I kind of I was kind of feeling like, because I decided to try to do something fun for the intro of the episode for next week. And I feel like, oh, maybe it would be interesting to try using that song there because it has a very like cool intro that could lead into the thing that I'm doing at the beginning of that episode. And it's one of the rare songs this guy's actually finished, but there's a reason why he's finished it. Because I think someone else owns the rights to it. Because, I mean, he shares his stuff with me. Anytime he's, like, doing music stuff, he just, like, shares the demos. Like, is this any good? And I download all those files. But I specifically remember this was as part of a thing. I don't remember what company or organization he was working with to do this, where this thing actually got released alongside another one, actually, by this company. I actually do not know what the name of this group, organization, blah 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 was. One of the songs he said was a part of that was actually being sold as part of like an album. So it's like, okay, download but do not use in a video, and I've specifically marked that file, so I know that. But the one I was thinking of using, I remember that one got released alongside of it for free. But almost certainly this other, whatever company released it, owns the actual rights to it. So it could very easily copy claim my video for me using it. Just kind of like, do I want to try to go for this? Because that would be cool, and the song has a really cool opening. Or do I want to just say, fuck this, I'm not going to get into a weird copyright situation, because I actually don't own the rights, or technically, I didn't make the song, I'm not the artist, I don't own the rights to the song, and I definitely don't have a license for it. So that would be a very tricky situation. I'd have to just remove it, which might remove my funny, hopefully it's funny. It's a reference, what I'm doing for that intro. I don't actually know if I'm going to keep that in there. I might just be like, no, it doesn't, I'm not really feeling that. I'm just going to can that intro and do a normal one, voiceover style. But I just got in my head, it's like, oh, that'd be a funny, thing. And it turned out the thing I was referencing didn't even require me to speak for that long, because I was hoping that I was like, okay, I can do this thing, I can just be like speaking for a little moment as I'm describing this as abstract terms, so I don't want to spoil it. But it's like, okay, I can do this and this, and I can make up some extra words that go in there that are related to Minecraft. Turns out, no, I cannot, because it's such a short thing that I'm referencing. It's like, okay, well, I just gotta straight up do it. Maybe I'll explain it later in the episode what the reference is. Or maybe I won't. You'll just have to figure it out for yourself. What to blabber on about now? Engaging, riveting, exhilarating content. That's what this is. I can hear Jared Cool laughing at something through the wall. And the headphones, so you can probably hear it as well. You shouldn't have to worry about... After the semester ends and I've gone back home, you shouldn't have to worry about hearing anything like that in live streams for that period of time, because he'll be like 2 floors above me and I'll not be able to hear it. I'll still be able to hear him in the middle of the night as he's laughing insanely loudly and doing stuff, but like that's something else. Actually, I remember when Jared Eagle was doing live streams of Paper Mario, I believe it was, I would like watch him while laying in bed trying to go to sleep, because he did them like late at night. And I would like say something in chat, and then I would hear him like above me responding, or not responding for that matter, like a good 15 seconds before it came through on the live stream. It's like, yep, I can hear what he's saying. And so can our parents who are in the room next to me. So that's always fun. It's like, wait, why don't I just grab some of these? Is that what I wanted to do? Don't worry, that is just the stone factorificating. Just don't look at it and you won't lag. Nighttime. Okay. Also, here's something really weird about Minecraft. The time which you can sleep is at 1832.5. It's a very specific time, and it makes no exact sense. I mean, I'm sure the conversion between ticks and the actual time makes a little bit of sense. Especially considering that like 6 a.m. is like 0. Because 0 is like the very beginning of the day when the sun's coming up. It's not midnight, because otherwise your world would start and it'd be midnight. That'd be a fun place to start in Minecraft. Midnight! Where all the mobs can maul you immediately. That'd be an interesting challenge though. Start at the dead of night. Maybe we'll do that next season for Coolcraft. We'll do a challenge where when we start at the server, it will be dead night. Good luck! It'll be like... Yeah, that would be an interesting way to start a season. Must be kind of terrifying. No, not much that I... Okay, well there's stuff I gotta put down here. I'm probably gonna leave that and come back to that later. Random. Putting stop lines. I always forget to put these in. It looks like the blueprint also forgot to put some of these in. Or, that's probably what... Oh no, wait. The stop line for this is supposed to be like back there somewhere. Oh well. Screw that. It's not in the blueprint, schematic, whatever it's called. I'm not doing it. Alright. Oh, they gotta do the outer sidewalk. But that is the only sidewalk remaining here. This area will then be complete after that. Oh, there's gonna be a light post there. Or, well, light post is technically correct. The best kind of correct. But technically correct, yes. So I'm... There we go. We use the side of the carpet to start placing down the, Nope, that's that block. Okay. Oh. Minecraft can be so nice and so bad at so many times. People believe that this game was originally supposed to be a fantasy game. I mean, given some of the stuff that's in the game, it kind of makes sense. But it's like, wait, this was supposed to be a fantasy game instead of an open world sandbox game? Huh. How would that have worked? Although, there's a lot of stuff in Minecraft that does have a very indie developer feel still. Like how garbage specific systems of the game are. It's like, very indie developer of you. That system hasn't, I mean, most of the game's probably been updated sometime in the last 15 years. But there's some stuff that's still probably the same from the very first version that Notch released back in 2013? Nope, 2009. 2009. Yep, it was 2009 when the game released. I'm good at math. That's why I'm doing okay in Calculus 2 at the moment. I wonder if my test has been good. I had a test the other day in Calculus 2. I lost sleep because of that. Not because I was worried, but just because I, for some reason, couldn't get to sleep because it's like, oh, look at the test, you know? Test first thing in the morning, be nervous. That sort of thing, right? I hope you know what I'm talking about, because that'd be weird if it was just me that felt that way. Ooh, what a loser. Okay, let's... There's running water here, it's kind of annoying. Could get rid of it, but that would be a lot of effort, so let's just not. Okay, so my plan as of currently set, so once I finish these sidewalks, if the Wayne Show hasn't started by that time, I think I'm just gonna end the stream because at that point I've been going live for 2 hours now. Or I've been going for 2 hours now, and at that point it's like, okay, good time to stop. Don't get into something else, I'll play something else, go back to working on the video for next week. Actually, I've already finished this week's video because, well, I spent 2 weeks on the video because of Thanksgiving mostly. That's the reason why there was reason why there was nothing last week, Thanksgiving. Doing stuff with the family. It actually played to my benefit with the project I undertook because it's a lot of long, menial grinding that having distractions like schoolwork and all that stuff would have made it annoying to get an episode out on time. So instead, distractions like family means that it'll take an extra week, but I'll get there. But oh boy, the results were better than I expected, actually. So, you know, it was a good investment, I guess. You could say. Or one could say that was a great investment of my time. This is... Yeah, I need to... You. And that's all I needed the glowstone for there. This, for some reason, didn't have any glowstone associated with it. You're just thinking back to my game. So the game's only like 3 and a bit years old. 3.5 actually. It's 3.5 years old now. There's still stuff that I've probably rewritten on that game. Or there's still probably some code that I haven't touched since the very start of the game, but that's a little bit unlikely since I've changed so much stuff about it. Most stuff has probably been changed, removed, rewritten by now, but there's almost certainly something that still lingers from the very, very start. It's probably just a variable or something like that. Too bad that the very first released version of the game is lost to history. And by lost to history, I mean it's sitting on one of Google's servers, and we definitely deleted this and didn't store your deleted files forever since. It's not accessible to me though because I deleted. You know, actually, weirdly enough, when I first made the game, it was just available for download from Google Drive. I don't do that anymore, obviously. But when a new version was available, I would just delete the old version from the folder and add the new one. Bam. Distribution or whatever the heck. I mean, obviously, it's all in GitHub now because it's infinitely better. But like, back then it was all in Google Drive. So, assuming that Google doesn't actually delete deleted data and they just store it somewhere for data mining purposes, it's just not accessible to you. It is still out there somewhere. Just probably will never see the light of day again. Probably. Although that being said, the newest or the oldest version of the game that is currently available, which is on GitHub, I believe does probably still contain most of the code, because 4.0.1, when a lot of major changes happened, I was mostly just adding code. I wasn't really removing or changing existing code, besides to allow for the new code to operate, but I was adding code. Like, the physics for... Gosh, I don't know why I did this. Each level had its own collision detection. Each level had its own collision detection function. That was a thing. And so every time I made a change, it would only apply to the newest level. And that was weird when I made the level creator, because the level creator I could load up and play all the levels on the same physics. But the newest level would only be played on existing physics. Very weird. Or each level had its own physics. So like level 1 had a different physics thing than level 5 or whatever. It was very weird. Different time. Years ago when I was dumb and stupid and didn't know anything. Because I know everything now. Well, I know more. Well, I know more now. And, you know, a bit smarter. And all of that stuff. I know more about how, like, stuff under the hood works for all the stuff for, like, Java and whatnot. I know more about programming and computers in general nowadays than I did back then. You know, it's all been, you know, a process of learning and discovery, and you know, that wasn't actually as hard as I thought it was. Why did I procrastinate doing this for 6 months? That's only happened a few times in the about six-month durations that the game has been around for. No, 7 6-month durations that the game has been around for. Well. Nope, nothing there. Nothing there. Alright. Onward with the sidewalk placement. We're real close to having basically all of these roads in downtown that have been excavated so far. We'll have to come back and excavate more, because Jerry Cole's planned an entire town hall for over that way, which looks like a giant food court on the inside, but I don't know, he stole it from somewhere else that I guess put a massive food court on the inside of basically all buildings, which is kind of weird, but okay. Just get on with it, I guess. Wait, why, I don't know why there's an intersection here. I don't think I'm gonna be building a bridge over to here. All things considered. Get out of grass. All things considered, this doesn't seem like a good place to build a bridge, because it just kind of goes out a little bit here, and then it's... I should probably end up capping this thing off at some point here, instead of making another road that won't go out, because there's only going to be like 2 bridges over that way. And then all the rest of it's just going to be like, you can take the highway, or you can dead frickin' end here. I don't know how things are going to go over with Tyler's section, or if there's even going to be a Tyler's section of the city to link up with, but I guess there's a reason why we didn't plan the highway to go down towards Tyler's base. You know, it's something along the lines of he doesn't actually play on here all that much. The foreshadowing there was amazing, despite the fact we actually had no idea how little he would play. But hey, that's, I guess, just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Oop. That was weird. And then we go back a little bit. Ba-bum. Get out of here, flower. You clog my inventory. Craft? Come on. Oh, okay, got this stuff. Also, I'm kind of curious to know if anyone else ever experiences this when you're like, oh, what's the word for this? So when you're playing a game, or when you need to do something with like your mouse that is incredibly like time sensitive, like quickly do this and then this. You're just like, you know you need to move your mouse quick, but then you just like slowly move it to the target or just like, oh, overshoot her. I don't know. It's just like, ooh. I feel myself doing that sometimes. It's not the most fun thing in the world. Alright, and that's that done. Retaining wall here. I guess I could build the retaining wall quickly. Let's just look at what this looks like. Nice. Real nice. Oh, I missed this. Probably not actually gonna have enough to do this. Just need a torch here in the corner, because otherwise the glowstone, I guess, doesn't reach here. Oh, those are apparently fine. The reason why these are supposed to be this stuff is to make it look like it's got a secure foundation and doesn't just like sit on top of freaking sand. You know, it's all for the appearances of anyone who comes down this way. To know, hey, we're like a real city. We have like real standards to uphold here, guys. There's another section of the retaining wall further down that goes over the river where it just kind of or it goes like 20 blocks down to a waterlogged cave. And it's like, okay, we can stop here. No one's going to look this far. Oh, and I'm out. Let's go get more. And I also must say, for some reason, I just sometimes kind of like dread, you know, I was like, oh, I gotta do live stream. Do I really want to live stream? I don't know. But, you know, intimidating or whatever. But then what I'm actually doing, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is fun. This is fun. Yeah, I should do this more often. I mean, obviously, not at the moment. I don't know. Maybe I'll live stream more often after the semester ends. I can't really do so right now because, you know, I have classes and stuff I gotta worry about. I got homework, other stuff, and then I actually sometimes want to make videos, you know? Can't do all that stuff at once. You know, full-time student or whatever the heck. Sometimes the homeworks, they take a little bit longer than others. Why? What is going on, Ligmatica? Ligmatica. What is going on right here? Why is this... Why can I see this face when inside the schematic? What's going on here? It doesn't go the other way. Anyhow. That's weird. Let me get to that issue. Right. Come on. Just slide along here. It's a little bit slower way to place this stuff in. Oh, you can't really see much in third person either. But it works. More in bulk, more and better. Oh, if we go at an angle, we go faster. Oh, frick. You know, it's really nice that crawl mode is actually like an official thing that exists in Minecraft. Now, I remember back season 1, 1.13, before they added crawl mode into the game. It was effectively a bug to be in this mode. If either you were like swimming, either you swam into a 1x1 gap, or you flew underneath a platform that had like one block underneath it. It didn't want, like, if you got close to the edge like this, it would try to like suck you out to go back to standing normal. It was weird. You have to like try to stay away from the edge, you know? Don't want to get keep going. It's this bug again. Sigmatica or Lightmatica. What the hell? And then at 1.14 they added forced crouching and then also eventually crawl mode. Oh, well, this is... There should be a bit more terrain here, but of course we bombed all that terrain out of there, so we're just gonna not worry about that section for now. Just looking at my facial hair in the webcam here, like, looks very weird, very weird. It's been growing for a long time. It's not the only hair that I have. Maybe trim the mustache out here a bit. Oh, but then it'll just, I swear, if I do that, it'll then just grow back within days for some reason. Because, you know, that's the way things work. You know, you're like, okay, it's like 30 years, okay, it only grew to this much. You shave it, and then the next day it's back. And honestly, it sounds like a hassle to go through that. I mean, I probably do want to get rid of all the bottom of chin fuzz or whatever, because that seems a little bit excessive. And kind of like a pain. There we go. Alright. This corner. And this section of the downtown area has now been completed. Only 2 hours and 20 minutes into this live stream did we finally get to the edges of the downtown location. Oh, you can see the villagers here a little bit better. Nothing has been planned past here. I don't even know if it'll go out that way. Going behind the villagers here, we're missing a couple stone walls. Okay, we're missing a little bit of stuff here. I can only assume that there were trees here and then someone actually came around and removed the trees here, but didn't bother patching up the road for some reason. Come on, give me my fireworks back. And then we got over to here. Obviously, you can see the schematic is much bigger. It goes this way. Does this actually contain the city hall that Jaredy Cool planned? Well, let's check. Yes, yes it does. This looks like it will be a pain to build. Look at how much of this is just floating. Such a pain in the ass to build. But, you know, we gotta actually build out there with the roads first. And so, I think that is what we are going to be doing next week in the road. Oh, this villager farm, this terrible iron farm villager breeder is still going. We really do not need it to be going. It's literally been just dumping into lava. Anyhow, that's good. What is there? Okay. Whoop, okay, don't fall too hard down. Anyhow, as I was about to say before I lost my train of thought there. Ooh, new moon. Moon. Anyhow. That's gonna be it for this live stream here. So I'm gonna say thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe and ring that bell so you can be notified of future live streams just like this one. Check out my game, which is linked in the description. And we see you all in the next thing. Bye!